Testing, testing. Yo, what is going on, Raider Nation? How you doing, man? This is WiFiWillie. I'm gonna come here, and what I'm gonna do in this video is I'm gonna break down some interesting stats and grades and analytics from the Raiders in each major position group. We're gonna go through each one, and what you're gonna discover is that they are ranked a lot higher in numerous categories than you would initially believe. Now we know the Raiders are 3-0, one of the few undefeated teams in the league, especially in the AFC outside of the Denver Broncos. But these numbers will definitely be interesting to take a look at, especially as we enter this critical Week 4 game against the Los Angeles Chargers, in which there will be a battle for the number one position in the AFC West. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Virtual high five from Ball, Santi James, what's up? And Boy George Strait, how you guys doing? Thanks for joining me. And yeah, 3-0, baby. This is sick. But I don't want to hesitate for any of these people who are going to be joining us, not live in a pre-recorded setting. So let's get right into it and take a look at these numbers. What is up, Aussie Raider Aaron? How is it going, bro? Good to see you. Neek, how you doing, man? Herman Munster, what is up, bro? Yes, Raider Nation, let's go. You're out in full force. But we got some stuff to talk about. All right, so right off the bat, I want to talk about the defensive line because this has clearly been one of the biggest surprises of the whole entire season. And, we thought they would completely dominate against Miami since they have one of the worst pass blocking offensive lines. But Miami, fortunately, made some adjustments, right? There's been, they improved. They improved slightly when it comes to pass blocking, sliding their guard to tackle, all kinds of things. But hey, Crosby is still number one in pressures overall, and this is among defensive tackles and edge defenders. He is at number one, and with 25 pressures, and QB hits he has 10 among. This is among everybody, among defensive tackles and edge rushers. He is at number one with 10. So Crosby, the unanimous number one defensive lineman in terms of pass rush in the NFL. Shout out to Herman Munster for reminding us. Yes, please hit the like button if you can. Let's boost me here. We see this thing pumping up, so just keep pumping this thing up. Let's get into Unique Ngakoue. 15 pressures on the year. That's number 9 among edge defenders. And then you have his pass rush grade, which is 90.1, number 10 among edge defenders. And I want to give a shout out to my guy, Carl Nassib. I didn't put him on the list here, but hey, this guy has an 89.3 PFF grade in pass rush. That is number 12 among edge defenders. So very impressive there. And Darius Philon, our guy, he has been on this channel before, has a great win percentage for interior defensive linemen. This guy's number 19 among defensive tackles, 21st in pressures. He has 7 pressures on the year. So good production from your number 2, number 3 defensive tackles. Solomon Thomas coming in right behind him. 3 sacks. Number 1, he's tied with a couple other people, but still, number 1 among defensive tackles. So that is very impressive. So shout out to Raider Nation. Shout out to this defensive line. Let me know in the chat, who are you most impressed with? And let me know, for those watching later on, let me know in the comments, who are you most impressed with among all the defensive linemen? We see Nassib show up, obviously Unique and Crosby, and Philon and Thomas proving to be really good pass rushers. And then in the run defense, which we didn't get to highlight too much, Hankins is still holding it down, and so is Quentin Jefferson, both doing a really good job. So shout out to these guys, man. And Crosby, he just does not look like he is slowing down. We got some people saying Crosby's on a mission. Yes, that is right. This guy just seems like, I think he's going to keep getting better. And this next test will be really interesting because Herbert is also a mobile QB, similar to Lamar, who we've played, but he's actually a more accurate passer. So going to be able to get rid of the ball, throw away the ball more often, but still be able to scramble. So let's take a look at this other categories, though. We got more stuff to take a look at, and we're going to get into the secondary, man. And still, after these 3 games, Casey Hayward is the number 2 defensive corner, has a number 2 defensive grade according to PFF among all cornerbacks. He sits there at 82.8. The only guy ahead of him is Marshawn Lattimore. And to be completely honest, Marshawn Lattimore has played, like 20 less snaps than Hayward. Like, Hayward's definitely been on the field more than him. and the passer rating that Hayward has given up. Granted, he doesn't get too many targets. I believe it's around 6 or 7 now, but only giving up a 42.4 QB rating when throwing his way. That's number 3 among cornerbacks in the NFL. So Hayward is still making the case to being a Pro Bowl corner this year if he keeps up this production. There's absolutely no reason why Crosby shouldn't be in the Pro Bowl, Unique Ngakoue shouldn't be in the Pro Bowl, and now Casey Hayward, this guy is coming in and proving to be the best signing among every free agent that the Raiders acquired. I mean, outside of Unique Ngakoue, you really can't find anybody, and I would even argue that Hayward has made an even bigger impact than Unique Ngakoue. So in my opinion, as of right now, he gets the award for the best free agent signing, best acquisition, and I mean among draft picks too, best acquisition all around. So man, this has been great to watch, great to see, and you see Trayvon Mullen, not quite as hot as some of the other players on our team, but still we saw him get that pick. He's still able to make some plays, and to be honest, he gets a lot of targets his way. He's picked on more compared to a lot of our other defenders. And about 18 targets go towards Trayvon Mullen. So going to be difficult for him no matter what. But hey, he's still only giving up a 63.7 QB rating when they throw his way. And that's number 20 in the NFL among corners and tackles. He has 13 on the year, and that is 14th in the NFL. So whenever you're ranked, in my opinion, the top 25, even top 30, when it comes to cornerback or linebacker in the NFL, that is good. That is above average. That is great production. Some teams don't even have people in the top 32 in a lot of these categories. So this is very impressive. And Nate Hobbs, man, this guy, Nate Hobbs, shout out to him. I got to release the Nate Hobbs emoji. That's going to be coming out soon because this guy is just killing it. This guy is becoming the steal of the draft. I would say outside of Casey Hayward, Nate Hobbs has been the best acquisition on this team, specifically on the defense. I mean, look at him at 8th overall defensive grade among cornerbacks, 76.8. Very impressive for a 5th round pick. Wow, man, this guy is going off. And in coverage, don't even get me started in coverage, 79.4 coverage grade, number 4 in the NFL. He's right behind Casey Hayward. So Casey Hayward's number 3 in the NFL in coverage for PFF grade, and Hobbs is right behind him, man. So we have just a stacked cornerback room right now. Very impressive. I don't think any of us could have predicted that this would gel so nicely coming into the 4th game of the season, especially after playing Big Ben, Lamar, and obviously the Dolphins. Brian Flores is a solid coach. Wow. You got to be impressed with Nate Hobbs. And you know what? You got to be impressed with Mike Mayock. Even though he doesn't hit on every single pick, he has definitely found some diamonds in the rough, through his own scouting. And that's in free agency with Casey Hayward. That's in drafting with Hobbs and Crosby. I mean, this is great stuff. And that's what Gruden said about Hayward. It's like, we didn't just pick up Hayward because he's played with Gus Bradley before. They were going to make a move and try to acquire Casey Hayward anyways. And you're seeing that pay off. By the way, look out for Trayvon Merrick, 3 targets for only 17 yards. And I want to get a shout out to Jonathan Abram. Jonathan Abram, he has had about 9 completions go his way and has only given up 41 yards. Now, he is playing in the box, but that just shows you that when somebody does make a catch and Jonathan Abram is there, he's bringing him down for sure. They are not breaking a tackle. So Jonathan Abram has not been given a good PFF grade. I saw they also only gave him 1 pass breakup, which I disagree with because I have personally seen Jonathan Abram break up more passes than what they're giving him credit for. He's broken up more than 1 pass. I've seen him break up at least 3 throughout these 3 games. I see some people talking about Damon Arnett in the chat. We'll see what happens. Hey, he's gotten some snaps, right? I saw some people say that we subbed in Amik Robertson instead of Damon Arnett in the game. That was at the slot position. So Amik Robertson is still our number 2 slot, and obviously Arnett fills in when we need some help on the outside. But that is rough, but at least we have, arguably the number 1 corner in the league and one of the top 5. So, I'm content with our corner play. Now let's go take a look at our wide receivers, man. So you guys have heard the recent stat, right? Where The Raiders actually have four receivers, including tight ends, who have over 200 yards. The next team after that only has two receivers who have gone over 200 yards. So Derek Carr is doing an amazing job spreading the ball out, making making great decisions, and these receivers are coming through for him. So you see Hunter Renfrow with a 81.1 receiving grade. That is the number 8th best in the NFL, and his overall offensive grade among receivers is number 12. So hey, Hunter Renfrow is a top 10 receiver in the NFL according to PFF, and PFF usually doesn't like the Raiders. So if Hunter Renfrow is doing amazing so far. And then you also have Darren Waller here. And Darren Waller, he is not getting good grades, not that good of numbers because of a couple of drops that happened in that first game. Shout out to Jeff Davis, shout out to Santi, shout out to PSB Sports Rough Cut in the chat. But Waller's grades aren't that good right now, but he's still putting up numbers. So you see number 2 tight end in receiving yards with 224, and in targets, he's number 1 with 20. And the only person above him or tied with him is Travis Kelce. So still pushing to be the number 1 tight end in the NFL despite the drops that occurred in that Ravens game. And in my opinion, the drops were partially on Carr. There's miscommunication there. And we'll get into Carr later, and we'll also get into a couple of your questions too. Bryan Edwards, contested catches. He has number 4. That's ranked 9th in the NFL. Top 10. Derek Carr trusting this guy one-on-one to fight for the ball in the air. We anticipated he would have the Devontae Adams-esque type connection with Derek Carr, and that is proving to be true after 3 games in the NFL. And his receiving yards, of course, ranked 21st in the NFL, 210 receiving yards for Bryan Edwards. And like I just told you earlier, when you're top 32 in these categories, especially something like cornerback or receiver, where there's typically 3 of them on the field at a given time, typically 3 starters for an NFL team, this is really impressive stuff. Really impressive by the Raiders in the receiving game. And Henry Ruggs, of course, if you look at my earlier videos, I went into his deep reception grade, still very high. But let's talk about what I have on the screen here. His receiving yards, 237, ranked 14th in the NFL. He is only 30 yards away from beating Tyreek Hill in receiving yards. So Henry Ruggs is proving to play that role for John Gruden in his offense, that Tyreek Hill speedster deep threat type role. And you see, it's not all deep balls with Henry Ruggs. Yak, yards after catch. He has 77 yards. That's 22 among qualifying wide receivers in the NFL. So Henry Ruggs getting the job done deep. Of course, we knew he would be able to do that. We've seen him do it in his rookie year. But also, underneath throws, these zig routes, these drags, Henry Ruggs still getting yards after the catch, making plays. And here's the thing. All of these guys, these numbers are proven here that they are the top in their position group, yet they are still underrated among the NFL. You won't find people on ESPN, you won't find people on NFL Network necessarily praising this receiving group, right? I think the tide is starting to turn. Obviously, we've seen networks be a lot more positive to the Raiders, and they've been a lot more positive to this guy in particular. Let's get started and let's talk about him. Let's talk about Derek Carr's path to the MVP. I can't do a video these days on the Raiders without mentioning Derek Carr. And passing yards, you're going to see 1,203, number 1. The QB that sits right behind him is Tom Brady, the supposed GOAT in the NFL, but I think probably one of the more overrated quarterbacks in the NFL, Tom Brady, throughout his career. You could debate me on that all you want, and maybe we can have a different video discussing this. By the way, I got 26 likes. Thank you guys. And let's try to boost this up. Let's boost Willie in the algorithm. This is WiFiWillie's Pro Football Podcast, covering the Raiders, primarily the AFC. And we're going to get more into your guys' questions too as we head on. So passing yards, 1,203, number 1 in the NFL. His passing grade is also number 2 in the NFL. So even PFF is having to give credit. Now, let me tell you what this BTT means. This BTT means big time throws. Big time throws are typically throws that are just perfect, right on the money, critical situations, and they're typically deep. They're typically over 15 yards. So basically, PFF and different analytics have been trying to categorize how do we have a category for these throws that are just amazing, game-changing throws, right on the money, critical situation, clutch throws. And that's BTT 13, big time throws by Derek Carr, leading the NFL. Last week he was tied with Kyler Murray, but now he's in the lead. I believe Brady is has 11 big time throws. So Carr's doing it in every category possible. Offensive grade overall, not just passing. This includes scrambling. This includes not fumbling. 85.9, number 4 in the NFL offensive overall grade among qualifying QBs. And this is what's the kicker, because everybody talks crap on Derek Carr under pressure. Everybody, I mean, even Ravens fans talk crap on Derek Carr under pressure. And what we're seeing here is he's number 4 in dropbacks under pressure. Now, what that means is that the amount of his dropbacks where there is pressure, and I'm not saying just a blitz, because you could pick up a blitz and there's no pressure. Where his offensive line is giving up pressure, he has the 4th most in the NFL among the starting QBs. So, I mean, so you can't say that he's not good under pressure, because there's only 3 other quarterbacks in the NFL who are under pressure more than Derek Carr. Only 3. And he is still putting up these numbers. Really impressive stuff, man. So, I mean, give a shout out to Derek Carr, man. Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Yes or no. You think Derek Carr is on the path to an MVP season? I definitely think he's on the path to a record-breaking season, especially for the Raiders franchise. And I would argue maybe among the AFC, he could break some records, because here's the thing: you get an extra game this year, and he's already on pace for 6,800 yards, something crazy, right? And when you look at these upcoming games, especially the Chargers game, I don't see these passing numbers slowing down. I mean, Derek Carr has averaged about 400 passing yards a game, and I mean, I definitely think, yes, this guy is going to throw for 400 yards against the Chargers in Los Angeles. I don't see it slowing down at all. We don't even know if Jacobs is going to be fully back. Jalen Richard for the Raiders might be coming back. Somebody in the chat thinks I'm Mitch. No, I am WiFiWillie, but shout out to Mitch. Okay. Now let's talk about some of the issues that are going on. So we've been pretty positive. We've talked about nice things that have been happening, and I'm going to go a little negative here, which is that the red zone efficiency still has not been too great for the Raiders. Okay, and we knew this was a problem last season, and we figured, okay, we get Drake to maybe give Jacobs some extra stamina, so maybe he could run in the red zone for us and help us become more efficient. But that hasn't worked out. Obviously, he's been injured. The offensive line has not been run blocking as much as you would suspect, and so the Raiders have the 21st best red zone efficiency ranked, meaning that they are settling for field goals. They're getting penalties where they're pushed out of the red zone. We've seen that happen a few times, and yeah, I mean, it's a big deal. And also the defense. I mean, the defense has performed really well, especially against the pass. The defense has done really well when you look through the numbers. But when you look against the run game, the defense has struggled tremendously. For a defense, obviously, they're still better than last year. But if I remember correctly, how they are against the run, they're about 23rd in the NFL. So you see that spell out when it comes to in the red zone, because teams are typically running more in the red zone. So the fact that the Raiders can't run on offense makes them have a low rank in the red zone. And the fact that their defense can't defend the run too well, especially against these teams that they've played recently, there you go, man. 30th in the defense for red zone. That has to be fixed if you're going to be a Super Bowl team. That has to be fixed. And hopefully we can improve. Hopefully Jacobs helps us on offense, but the defense really needs to figure something out when it comes to red zone efficiency. So shout out to everybody joining me right now. 37 likes. Shout out to everybody who is watching this not live. Check out this whole first segment where I went through all these numbers, where the Raiders rank. This is what I do for the first 20 minutes of the show, and hope you guys enjoy that. Obviously, I went through the defensive line. I went through the secondary. I went through the receiving core. Took a look at Derek Carr, where he's ranking amongst the rest of the quarterbacks in the NFL, and we see very impressive. And we have that red zone rank. So a lot to be optimistic about. uh, still some room for improvement. I mean, obviously, I mean it's glaring, but it's really hard to complain when you're winning, right? When you're winning against a really good team. So I think that's why Raider Nation, we haven't really focused too much on the negatives, right? But at the same time, why not celebrate? Why not have some fun? It's been a while since we've been this optimistic this early in the season. So I really appreciate, I mean, how these people are playing, gelling, putting it all together. Shout out to Santi James in the chat. Yes, this is the main man, WiFiWillie. That is correct. This is who I am. Graph at, I'm not sure where Graph is at, but we do got to work on these red zone numbers. People are saying. Salute to Derek Carr, Jeff Davis. Yes, that is true. He is the man. And that's the thing too. I'm a little concerned about like people praising Derek Carr. I don't know. I'm conflicted about this. Do you guys think that Colin Cowherd, Florio, Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, I mean, even Nick Wright, I mean, do you think any of these people are allowed to praise Derek Carr at this point? I mean, once you have, I mean, I'm excuse my language, advertisers, once you shit on a guy for pretty much his whole entire career outside of that 2016 season, ever since 2017 and ever since 2018, every single sports show regarding in the NFL, of course, they take a jab at Derek Carr. And in this past offseason, you saw a slight change after his 2020 season. It's like they were anticipating that Derek Carr was going to do well, all of the media. But you know, then they start switching their tune once the whole team starts doing well. So at first it was like, hey, Derek Carr's a bright spot on the Raiders, but he's going to be held back by John Gruden, and John Gruden doesn't even like Derek Carr, is what a lot of people. If you watch TV, I mean, that's just straight up what they say. And so you have these two positions, and now that they're both wrong, Gruden clearly likes Carr, clearly wants him to be the franchise QB. They're both gelling and working well together. Uh, I mean, these people need to eat their words. We can't be giving them clicks. We can't be giving them credit. I mean, it's BS that they're able to just totally flip flop, and we have to act like we have historical amnesia and didn't know what they said in the previous 2 years, and even honestly, even like 2 months ago. I mean, everybody was still shitting on Derek Carr. Todd Clemens, someone should make a video on them giving Derek Carr crap and now backpedaling. There's copyright problems with that. I've thought about doing that. Santi James, how much longer can we get away with the slow starts? I think this is the game where we can't get away with it because we know the Chargers can score, right? And I think they're going to have some trouble against us in their pass game just because our defense is ranked really well in the pass game. Eckler could still run the ball. The defense that the Chargers have is, still going through a coaching change, but the coach that they have is an interesting cutting edge coach. He is somebody who, is supposed to be changing the way that defense is played in the NFL, and they've proven to have a decent defense. So this is a team where it feels like you're playing the Chiefs in a certain respect because they're the team that just beat the Chiefs. They have high momentum. So do we. We have high momentum, and this quietly might be the game that decides the division, or one of the games that decide the division. We initially thought this was going to be between, the Raiders and the Chiefs. Is what we thought was going to happen in this division. But now we're in a situation where it could be Chargers versus Raiders. Who wins this division? And so you can't start slow here. You can't have bad snaps by Andre James that go over Derek Carr's head. You can't go for it on fourth down in your own territory, John Gruden, with the same play call back to back. Third down, 3rd and 1, run it up the middle in I formation to Peyton Barber. Then you do it again on 4th and 1 in your own territory, and then you get surprised when you get stopped, and then you get surprised when your defense gives up the touchdown to the Dolphins when they're starting on your 35-yard line. What can you expect? So it's not only Andre James, it's not only Derek Carr and his receivers not being totally on page. It's not only the offensive line and the inability to, get a good push up front on rundowns. It's John Gruden and his play calling. It has to be better right off the bat. So what I have noticed right away is that, the Derek Carr's play calling is actually a little better than John Gruden's, We know Derek Carr audibles a lot at the line of scrimmage. The first quarter, though, you typically have a script. Most people who watch football know this. Coaches have a script. The first like 12 plays are already planned ahead of time. You know you're going to do these plays. And it's supposed to be one of your better drives. And last year, Gruden would have really good scripts, and his first drive would be amazing. And then you would see the play calling, go down, right? And now it's different where the script seems to not be that good in the first quarter, and the spectacular play calling that happens later on in the game is Derek Carr audibling to a play that he likes, right? And kind of undermining Gruden's calls in a way, but obviously Gruden allows him to do that. So I think that is something that definitely needs to be improved, and maybe instead of sticking with the script in the first quarter, Carr takes more liberties to adjust. Yes, sports media is flip-flopping. That's what they do. They're the biggest bandwagoners, more than any. They're more bandwagoners than new Bucks fans, right? So you see a lot of Patriots fans, the Brady fans switch to the Bucks. That's what the news media is, and they make excuses for teams that they want to succeed. And here's the thing: the news media, since the beginning, has wanted the Chargers to succeed over the Raiders, and they've wanted the Broncos to succeed over the Raiders. So if you look at some of the power rankings by NFL Network and ESPN, the Raiders are still beneath the Chiefs, beneath the Broncos, beneath the Chargers, which is absurd, especially if you look at these stats that I showed you earlier and all the categories we're leading in. And the fact that unlike Denver and unlike the Chargers, we have a head coach who's a future Hall of Famer. I know a lot of people don't want to say that about Gruden, and I just criticized Gruden a minute ago, but he's still a future Hall of Famer head coach. He has a Super Bowl. Not many people can do that. He's proven to improve different quarterbacks. Brad Johnson, he made him great. Rich Gannon, he made him great. And Derek Carr, he's bringing him back to that MVP level that he had in 2016. And actually, he's making Derek Carr better than he was in 2016. And Derek Carr has admitted this in numerous press conferences. So for them to rank the Chargers and Broncos over the Raiders when their roster hasn't proven to be as impressive, they haven't played as impressive opponents as the Raiders, they're not even leading in as many statistical categories as the Raiders, and their head coaches are new head coaches who have never won a Super Bowl and who don't have as great of a resume as John Gruden. Even though Gruden hasn't been in the playoffs since he returned, they still don't have as good of a resume as John Gruden. So I think it's totally absurd that they, rank these teams ahead of us in the power rankings. So cheers to everybody having beer. I'm having an afternoon beer right now. We're going to get to some more questions here. Get them in while you can. Thanks for everybody supporting the channel with these likes. We got 41 likes here. We got some people coming in too. That's pretty cool. Remember to please subscribe, man. I got this ticker giving you some info. Subscribe to this channel. Ring the bell to get notifications, and support this channel any way you can. There's opportunities to be a member, to have access to videos and chat priority and all sorts of things. So check that out, and let's get to more of these questions. Do we try to extend Carr ASAP? If he wins MVP or just finish the season on this pace, won't he be more expensive? And that's interesting. It's really good that they got into contract talks prior to the start of the season, and we've heard of that. And I think that's good, because then you're already spitting out numbers prior to the season, and now that he's performing really great, you could kind of still use the numbers that you used in the offseason to ballpark his salary and what he wants it to be. We've heard Derek Carr say he doesn't want to play anywhere else, and that he's pretty much been open to the fact that he's flexible with his contract, because he even implied that he's made enough money in his life to be happy forever. So take that into consideration when you're renegotiating a contract. And depending on how close this front office and head coach and owner are with Derek Carr, you could push this contract signing to the end of the year. You could feel comfortable doing that if you know that he is going to be very generous in that way. If you suspect that maybe he is just being nice on camera, being nice in the press conference, not necessarily meaning what he's saying when he's saying he won't play for any other team, then I think you have to go ahead and make some moves now and try to lock this guy up. So, I mean, I think Derek Carr has earned to be the franchise QB of the Raiders, not only just through his performance, but through his patience. I mean, Derek Carr has shown a lot of patience with this organization. He has waited around for the defense to be decent. He has stood there and just dealt with his number one receiver, Amari Cooper, being traded away, with Khalil Mack being traded away, and I know there's some difficulty with that, but I think he's earned it out of just showing respect for the organization, showing patience, and also putting up the numbers. And at this point, if Gruden's offense is as complex as he claims it is, then you really can't get rid of him at this point, because you need him to further develop the offense, to keep everybody else up to speed. And you see Carr doing this before every play. He's helping the offensive line make their calls, helping the receivers. He is the IQ communicator of the NFL. So at this point, yeah, you got to give it up for him. You got to resign him. You got to lock him in. Who else would you want as your Who else in the NFL, after seeing how everybody's performing, who else at QB would you want for the Raiders? I wouldn't want Mahomes at this point. I would not want Mahomes as my QB. He's reckless. He gives turnovers. He's a one-trick pony with his improv, with his sidearm, and he has trouble making reads, his first read and second read, and has some hesitation just getting the ball out quickly. So I personally would not want Mahomes. And Snoops Hernandez, yes. I mean, if Devontae Adams comes by, I mean, there might not be enough room for Devontae. I showed you these receiving numbers earlier. We're one of the only teams that has 4 people with over 200 yards. Everybody else, they only have 2 receivers with over 200 yards. So, where does Devontae fit in here? Brian Edwards is proving to be a Devontae light. I mean, why not have some Devontae? So, I don't know how much he fits into this situation. Chef B, what is up, bro? Shout out to you, man. He was here during the watch party. We had a watch party this past weekend. It was lit. It was fun. But now we're just recapping. We might throw another watch party again. I'm not sure. Not quite sure yet. So people are giving out some Derek Carr contract numbers, what they would like. DC is now Gruden's brain with DC talent, hopefully. No way. And that's the thing. No way Herbert is better than Carr. I like this comment by Callie Gonzalez. Yeah, no way Herbert is better than Carr, because, I hated that the NFL was already anointing him, a great cornerback, right? Or no, great quarterback for the AFC, already the number 2 in the AFC West. PFF, I thought, gave him way too generous of a grade under pressure. If you check it out and his numbers in 2020, it doesn't make sense why he has the highest PFF grade under pressure, in my opinion. So I'm ready for the Raiders to shut this down. I'm ready for the Raiders to say, nah, this guy's still a rookie. Quit trying to hype up people. And Chef B, time for more shots. Yeah, we had some tequila. I had a couple shots. I got crossfaded. I actually had some bong rips too during the watch party. So, and I went to host a comedy open mic afterwards. So I actually put it together and did a pretty good job. So that's what some pizza will do for you. If you're getting drunk, you're getting crossfaded, make sure to eat some pizza, get filled up on game day, guys. And I'm thinking about going to LA. I might even go to LA and watch the game. I kind of want to do a pregame party somewhere. I don't know exactly how I could do it, but if anybody wants to email me at WiFiWillieRaps@gmail.com with any information about how we can throw a live show in LA before the game, go to the game, hang out, and whatnot, let me know, man. Email me at WiFiWillieRaps@gmail.com. And Flinko, I actually like this comment. This is actually key when you're throwing a watch party. It is very difficult to stay focused. I was staying as focused as I can, but yeah, I'm thinking of just doing a pregame, postgame, because I kind of wanted to be more locked in too. I had to rewatch the game afterwards. And this is a good comment by Boy George Strait. I actually like this because I was feeling a similar concern, which is I want us to get a kick return specialist. I cringe every time I see a receiver back there returning kicks. Yes. Interesting on a kick return in the second half of the game, I saw Peyton Barber returning a kick. And by the way, shout out to Peyton Barber, man. That was a very impressive game. I'm not gonna lie, I did not expect him to really do much, right? in this game, just filling as much as he could for Josh Jacobs in short yardage situations. But after a while, you saw Peyton Barber in there more than Drake. So there's a situation where Gruden might like Peyton Barber's pass blocking skills more than Kenyon Drake, which could prove problematic for Drake and the amount of snaps he gets in the rest of the year. But yeah, I like this comment because I see Ruggs back there, and we saw Ruggs on the jet sweep, and it reminded me a lot of the Denver game in Week 17 of 2020 last year when Ruggs ran the jet sweep and got concussed, right? Because when you're running a jet sweep and you got a safety flying from the defense, it gives them ample time to go full speed, and if they can lay a lick, they will lay a lick on your star number one receiver. And to me, that's not worth it. I would like us to find somebody who can do these jet sweeps, who can do these kick returns, who maybe has a bigger body. I mean, I kind of like DJ Turner, and I like that we kept him around the practice squad because I thought he could maybe fill that kind of role. John Brown, I thought, could have been maybe that guy who can fill that role for us too, but he's gone, obviously. So I'm not sure who else. Zay Jones doesn't seem like he's going to do that. Maybe Drake, because Drake is supposed to be the Joker, right? The gadget player. He's supposed to be perhaps our Lynn Bowden, what Lynn Bowden was supposed to be and what Taysom Hill is for the Saints. So maybe Drake can fill this role as a kick return specialist, punt return specialist, maybe get him involved in some jet sweeps or fake jet sweeps rather than risking someone like Ruggs who, even though he doesn't have the number one stats in receiving on our team, but it's because we spread the ball out so well. We need Ruggs, man. We are a worse team when there's no Ruggs. No doubt about it. Significantly worse. So, yeah, I like that comment, and I think that's a lot to look after. And isn't Richard off injury report? People are talking about that. Yes, that's true. So we have to see. Maybe Richard makes a comeback, and that would be great, man. I'm somebody who really likes Jalen Richard. I mean, watch the 2019 and 2018 highlights of Jalen Richard. Jalen Richard led this team in receptions in 2018. And yeah, you could say we had, weak players on our team back then, but it takes a lot for somebody to do that. It takes a lot for a running back to do that in the NFL, regardless of who else is around them. So I think Jalen Richard's a really good player, and I think he, I'd be stoked. I would be stoked if Richard came back. So is he worth the $3.5 million? Yeah, I think so, because I also think Richard's underrated with how well he could run up the middle. I mean, he can do that. We've seen him muff up fumbles in his career, but for the most part, pass blocking, receiving, and not afraid to run up the middle, so there is an element of trickery in that respect. I think Jalen Richard's really impressive. So I look forward to him coming back, and I look forward to him getting involved in this pass blocking and receiving grid. So I like it. And you know what? And I like Peyton Barber. I like how they've subbed in. And, all of this has made me a little concerned with Kenyon Drake. I mean, he was supposed to be Josh Jacobs number 2 plus receiving skills plus. He was supposed to be a hybrid of Jacobs and Richard, right? But now it's kind of looking like, okay, is he just meant to be a Lynn Bowden Joker? We haven't really used Drake as a Joker. We've pretty much used him as Jalen Richard, pass blocking, a couple catches and whatnot. But he has, he's broken a few tackles too, especially in the receiving game. But he hasn't been able to supplement the inside running that we're missing from Josh Jacobs. And that could be, based on the offensive line. But we saw Gruden show some confidence in Peyton Barber. So the Barber situation, filling in for Drake a lot, that has to concern everybody. But hopefully Drake could turn it around and start running up the middle and start contributing to this team in a big way, which he wants to. He wants the opportunity. So hopefully he's able to capitalize on the opportunities that he does get. Aussie Raider Aaron brings up an interesting point, which is the fact that Jalen Richard had his cast removed, about 12 days ago, right? So 2 weeks ago. Who knows if because when you go, they put him on IR and they never mentioned that it'd be a short-term IR. They said he was out indefinitely. So to me, that made it seem like, okay, like this guy's going to be out for a while, right? This guy's gone for the whole year. I mean, that's what I was getting based off that. Dang, my hair is so messed up. today. I got to learn how to use pomade. And anyways, uh, uh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's 100%. That's why I also wouldn't rush Jalen Richard back because, yes, I know the Chargers have struggled against the run. Their defense has. And so you want to be able to run the ball a lot. But Peyton Barber has proven that he can hang, right? So don't rush Richard back because I think we will need him in the playoffs, especially on pass blocking downs. Um, yeah, I don't want to take graphic slogan because I respect that dude, but yes, get them thumbs up. Uh, if we ran a hybrid 3-4 defense with Abram, and Abram has played a significant amount of snaps at linebacker, so and he has done some pass rushing. So we are integrating him in the box in the linebacker position a lot, right? What I don't like I mentioned earlier, is that the stat bugs kind of don't give Abram enough credit. They said he only had one pass breakup, but I count two pass breakups just right off the top of my head. The one on Mark Andrews in week 1, and the one this past week, I believe it was on Gesicki. So I'm already counting two pass breakups that Abram had. They only have him give him credit for one, and I swore he had one against the Steelers too. So shout out to Abram, man, really turning it around. It's not showing too much in the stat book, but I will tell you this, which I mentioned earlier. Abram, on 9 catches, has only given up, I believe, 47 yards on 9 catches. So that's very impressive. So despite the fact that people are catching the ball around Abram, they are definitely not getting around him. More comments in here. I desperately need water. I have beer, but I don't want to get away from you guys. But I like this comment here, Jalen Richard. And here's the thing: a lot of people, I didn't like how people are like, "Oh, we need to move on from Richard. Whatever about Richard. Who cares? We gotta save cap. What else would we be using the cap for? Like, who else would we? What? Okay, 3.5 million. What? Let me know in the chat. What would you grab at 3.5 million? What would you grab? Would you grab maybe another linebacker? KJ Wright's been all right. Perryman's been all right. Littleton's been all right. Coverage, though, I personally don't think any of our linebackers have done that well in coverage, which is why I haven't mentioned the linebackers that much, because it hasn't been that impressive, to be completely honest. I mean, in the run game and as far as getting tackles and stops, it's been nice, especially with Perryman. And the O-line hasn't been that impressive, too. I mean, outside of Colton Miller, and Illuminor, surprisingly, is doing really well, especially in grading. But outside of Colton Miller and Illuminor, Leatherwood, James, and Simpson, it hasn't looked good. I mean, it just hasn't. So I'm looking forward to Incognito getting back. I'm curious as to, at a certain situation, do you consider playing Brandon Parker a little bit? I don't know. I mean, Leatherwood has given up some sacks, straight up. And there's going to be growing pains there. But, like we said before, like the Raiders and the Gruden said before, we don't have time to wait for people to develop this year. That's why Damon Arnett is not playing that much, right? That's why Farrell is not playing that much, because Gruden has said we don't have time for people to develop anymore. We have to just win a Super Bowl this year. I mean, he didn't say it in those terms. He basically said we got to go all out this next 2 years. So when you're looking at Leatherwood struggles and when you're looking at Andre James struggles, we have Nick Martin there. We have Brandon Parker there. Do I think these guys would do as good of a job as them right now? If I were to gamble on it, I would say probably. I mean, probably. Better? I don't know if they would be better, but I mean, personally, I would like to see them get the opportunity. And maybe you can say, hey, if they didn't pull it off in training camp, they're not going to pull it off now. But I don't know. Did they really get the opportunity to compete? Did Martin get the opportunity to compete at the center position in training camp? And did Parker get the chance to compete? I thought Parker looked good when he came in right, for his time. So, and definitely something needs to happen. There needs to be either an adjustment made by Cable. There needs to be either just, digging deep inside yourself and just, getting rid of the errors by Leatherwood and James, or maybe you just leave Moreau in the game more to help double team on Leatherwood's side, from the edge position. But you got to do something. And then another thing that really ticked me off about the offensive line, and mainly just the blitz pickup, is there was 2 times where Brandon Jones of the Dolphins, I believe he's a safety, came in and blitzed right up the middle in between the guard and the center. They called that play twice. Both times it led to a sack. The Raiders could not recognize pre-snap the offensive line, and partly on Carr. Maybe he did point it out and nobody picked it up, but they weren't able to pick that person up. You saw Barber try to make the block once, but Jones was able to get by him. And you can't let that happen. You can't have free blitzers coming in the interior of your offensive line. So clearly got to improve in the offensive line and linebacker position. There's no doubt about that. No doubt. So, man, I'm really excited for this game, though, man. I can't even give a score prediction, but we definitely know it is going to be high scoring offensive game. And just like it's interesting, just like just like the Dolphins, you kind of thought, okay, the Dolphins have a weaker run defense, a really good pass defense. It's the same thing with the Chargers. They have a really good pass defense, weaker run defense. And then you start to think, okay, so, are the Raiders finally going to just say, hey, we're running the ball? And you saw it pay off a little bit with the Dolphins. At the end of the day, Peyton Barber still got 100 rushing yards, which is really impressive. So maybe this is a game where we do run the ball a lot, just like we did before. But still, when you're going into overtime, you're going to have to deal with, you're going to have to pass, right? And so we ended up passing a lot. And in LA, I think it's going to be a close game. All right, I'm going to say that. Like, I was predicting a blowout with the Dolphins. We didn't get that blowout. Instead, we got a nail-biter overtime game. And, this, I don't think this is the best team that we're going to play so far this year. I don't think the Chargers are the best team so far as like a roster coaching. But I do think they're the hottest team. I think compared to the Ravens, compared to the Steelers, compared to the Dolphins, the Chargers are hot. The Chargers are hot and they're warming up. So I would say psychologically, momentum-wise, clutch, pressure, these types of things, the type of things that aren't quantified by statistics, right? I think it's gonna be really telling to see how the Raiders do. You're in California, you're in Los Angeles, prime time Monday Night Football, division rival. For the lead in the AFC West will probably be the first time you're leading the AFC West since 2002. This is huge. And so it's like mentally, how do these young people deal with it? Mentally, does Derek Carr continue to persevere, through the pressure? These receivers, can they handle the big moment? Mistakes. Who's going to make a mistake? Who's not going to make a mistake? Who's not going to false start? Who's not going to hold, right? Who's not going to jump off sides? I think these are going to be the key things in this game. Penalties, turnovers, mistakes. Because both of these teams have proven already, and I give the Chargers more credit than I give the Broncos. They've proven to be an above average team, right? There's no doubt about that. So I'm definitely saying, like, okay, like this game, this is the biggest game of the year so far. So, and I know, and we didn't say that last week. Last week we were very comfortable. We were kind of like, all right, we should beat the Dolphins. This should be good. But this is gonna be a clutch game. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to these likes too. I got 64 likes. Let's boost this little number up right here, bro. Really appreciate all these likes coming through. Shout out to Raid the Tape in the chat. And yes, Drake got blown up when Jones came in. Exactly. That's what I was referring to earlier. Yeah. There's 2 times Jones came in, and it's not Byron Jones, it's Brandon Jones, right? So, I guess he's I don't know too much about Brandon Jones, but I guess he's a safety. He pass rushes. He's kind of like their Abram, right, for their team. And we let him come in. And here's the thing. Derwin James is playing for the Chargers. You got Adderley there. They're going to have some safeties come in and blitz, right? And if they see this work out for the Dolphins twice, the Dolphins went 2 for 2 on that play, 100%. Then, if I was the Chargers, I would try it. Are you really that scared of Simpson and James, right, picking this up? Are you scared of these running backs picking up the blitz? Barber, maybe that's why Barber's coming in, doing a little bit better than Drake. Something to pay attention to. And if Barber ends up playing a lot more than Drake this week, I don't want to be a negative Willie, but I will say, like, we got to do a better job on some of our free agent acquisitions. We've done great in some respects. Obviously, Casey Hayward, like I was saying, Nate Hobbs is probably one of the steals of the draft. But, man, I just don't I'm just tired of them spending like, okay, we're gonna spend 9 million a year basically for Drake, and now we're taking him out for a guy we picked up off the street in September. To me, that's just a huge problem. I don't know what you guys think about that. Uh, and and yeah, if you're joining us later, we went through some grades of the receivers. We went through defensive line. We went through the secondary. I think I'm going to show offensive line and linebacker later in the week. I wanted to be positive today, right? I didn't want to be too negative, and I even got a little negative. I showed us some red zone efficiency numbers, right? But look, the offensive line grades are not looking good, and linebackers not looking good either outside of KJ Wright. And to be honest, though, when I see these grades, though, and I see KJ Wright getting graded higher than Corey Littleton and getting graded higher than Perryman, but at the same time, I see Gus Bradley praising Littleton, praising Perryman, then I get kind of skeptical of PFF, and I'm like, okay, so you're giving the better grade to KJ Wright just because you know him, right? You know he's more popular, you like him. I don't know, you know what I mean? So a little tricky for me there. And yeah, here's an interesting thing: Broncos are finally going to get tested this year. So I mean, the Chargers in their defense, they have been tested. They lost a nail biter to the Cowboys, who have proven to be a good team, and picked up the dub week 1 and obviously picked up the dub against the Chiefs. So they've been tested. We know the Broncos have only played the Jags, the Giants, and the Jets, right? As everybody they played hasn't won a game this year. So playing the Ravens, I think this is finally when the Broncos crumble. And obviously the NFL and the ESPN is going to make tons of excuses for them. It's going to be like, oh, well, Lamar is good and all this and blah, blah, blah. There is going to be some excuses, and I'm interested to see how those pan out. But I still think we're going to – honestly, I was looking at the Broncos' schedule, right, coming up, and I don't have it all in order. But I remember when I looked at their upcoming schedule for these next 6 games, I said to myself, they can go 0-6 right now for these next 6 games. They have and this is not in the right order, but they have the Ravens, the Browns, the Steelers, and I believe the Chiefs, the Raiders, and one other team that I think it might have even been the Cowboys or something like that. But there were 6 teams where I was like, wow, like they could totally lose all 6 of these games coming up. I mean, I could even pull up the Broncos schedule just to clarify that. But yeah, I think in these next 6 weeks, bet against the Broncos, it's all crumbling down from here because they're finally playing teams that have actually won a game. So I think things will change pretty soon for the Broncos. Exactly. Hell yeah, Ozzy, Raider Aaron. Raid the Tape thinks the Broncos have proved it because Raid the Tape is on one. Obviously, the Broncos have not proved anything. But Teddy Bridgewater looks good in a Broncos uniform. Not going to lie, it looks a lot better than Drew Lock, but I want to see them play some talent first. And here's the thing, too. The Chiefs, it also doesn't get easier this week, if I am correct. But, man, why is it that we have to wait till week 10 before we play the Chiefs? So the Chiefs have the Eagles coming up, the Bills, Washington football team, Titans, Giants, Packers coming up before they play us. So the Chiefs in these next 6 games, they could lose to the Bills. They could lose to the Titans. They've lost to the Titans historically. And they could lose to the Packers. So they can be going 3-3, I think, for these upcoming games. And the Raiders, to be completely honest, their schedule gets incredibly easy. I mean, after the Chargers, what is it? We play the Bears, who obviously cannot block at all. Broncos, which I think are trash still. Eagles, which, yes, Jalen Hurts is playing well, but it's still not enough in my opinion. Giants, not enough in my opinion. Then the Chiefs. So we get a bye week there. So we're only going to play 5 games before we play the Chiefs. They're going to be able to play 6. So they're not going to have the luxury, based on my understanding, they're not going to have the luxury like they have before of facing us right after one of their bye weeks. Instead, we'll be having our bye week the 31st prior to the Giants game. So that'll give us a lot of time to scout, rest up. And yeah, I'm glad we're able to rest up too prior to this Monday Night Football game. So Ed Hage has an interesting comment. People like that. I'll take a look at it right here. Yeah, Drake is not the cowbell RB type. He was supposed to be a replacement for Richard by being more of a backfield receiver. That's true. But when you're a backfield receiver, you also have to be a really good pass blocker. And he hasn't proven to be a really good pass blocker. I mean, that's exactly where they have struggled. So I'm not going to entirely just give him tons of credit on that, right? I'm not going to just say like, okay, you're able to make some receptions, so therefore you're a good receiving back. Instead, I would say, okay, you got to do the other half of the job, right? Which is the pass blocking, right? And we have a small sample size because it's only 3 games. So I'm going to give him some credit, cut him some slack. The only reason why we're concerned is because Barber came in instead. Who knows? It could be an injury issue. They haven't reported anything, but we know there's a lot of quiet injuries among the NFL that aren't necessarily reported. So, and I get some comments by Ed Hage claiming that he was never a pass blocker. That's actually not true. Last year, his pass blocking grade among running backs was 13th best in the NFL, while Richard, I believe, was 8th. And I did a video on that when he was signed, which has since been taken down because my videos used to be very low quality, looked very shitty, so I took that video down. But if you're a member, you could see that video still. Broncos have a defense and a pedestrian offense. The offense, I mean, the drops are still a problem. I just don't think the head coach and the offensive coordinator are enough to push this offense to the next level. I ultimately think the Broncos, for whatever their roster is, and they've held on to Fangio for too long, clearly there needs to be a coaching change, I mean, in my opinion. So I don't necessarily, I don't think they've done anything spectacular, and they haven't faced really good offenses. They really haven't so far. So, once they do, then I'll start giving them some credit. And then, the Ravens game is going to be very telling. We're going to be able to figure out everything we need to figure out about the Broncos this week. So that actually gives us something to watch this Sunday, since we're going to be waiting for that Monday Night Football game. All right, so we are approaching 57 minutes in. Shout out to the 71 likes that we have here. Shout out to all these comments too. Let's try to get these up if we can. And yeah, so people are talking about Drake's contract and everything, but yeah, to everybody watching this, pre-recorded, yes, the first 20 minutes we go over the numbers, we fulfill the thumbnail and what it leads, we fulfill the clickbait, and then we take some questions, right, and talk to the chat. So that's the second half of this, and I appreciate you guys joining me. I am going to do another game preview this Friday too. Gonna look a little close, and I might do something pretty interesting. I actually might do a pre-recorded game preview with some film and whatnot. NFL Game Pass is lagging. They come in and out, but hopefully we'll be able to get some film and do some more breakdowns and everything. Any final comments and thoughts? You guys leave them here. I'll get to them, but we are going to be signing off in about 3 minutes. So get these comments in. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to respond to your guys' questions. I want to know what you guys think. Love Raider Nation for joining us. October 4th against the Chargers on Monday Night Football. Second Monday Night Football game, second primetime game in 4 weeks. So the NFL is changing their tune with the Raiders. They like the Raiders, and we're getting some compliments on our layout. Appreciate you guys complimenting that. We're in Vegas at nighttime. Now you guys can see my cowlick in my head. That's pretty embarrassing. But we are in Vegas. And yes, I love this background too. I was stoked when we started incorporating it. It looks cool. I'm trying to improve the WiFiWillie logo too. We'll get more on that. Get more going on that. Autumn Wynn has an interesting comment. Drake had a hammy issue before the season started, maybe still nagging. Exactly. That's what I was saying. We have a small sample size for how well he's done pass blocking. So perhaps there's an injury there, a quiet injury that we don't really know about yet, right? Like that could be under the radar for us. Pretty funny comment by Joe Glisson. I like that. Those no-look passes by Mahomes don't look so cute anymore. Yeah, typically when you're throwing the ball, you want to look where you're throwing, right? So Yeah, it was going to be short lived, right? And look, Mahomes, he looks like a SoundCloud rapper. He has the cool hair and everything. I like it, right? I like it, but that's not enough to be the number one quarterback in the NFL. Shout out to Derek Carr, right? Shout out to Aussie Raider Aaron showing some love for the channel. Appreciate your comments, man. Mark Davis Barber, let's fix that wig up, Willie. Yeah, I need a better haircut, and I need to figure out how to do this pomade. This pomade I had on was too thick, and I look like I'm sweating, even though I haven't sweat once today. I actually need to leave the house, if anything. And here's the thing. How do you think our corners will hold up Monday night? So I was going over some of these numbers a little earlier about our corners and how Nate Hobbs has proven to be a straight up baller, being the fourth, having the fourth best PFF grade in the NFL for a cornerback. You can see it there in the third column here. In coverage, right? Fourth best grade. So I think our corners will do really well. And I actually think that they've continued to improve. In the Steelers game is where I thought, hey, this is the test for our corners. Like, we'll be able to find out if these corners are serious, right? And you see, Arnett's the only guy who's been picked on, really. Mullins persevered. Hayward has been number one. And now Hobbs is being like the fourth best corner and obviously doing well in the run game as well and picking up a good amount of tackles. So I think our corners are going to do really well. I'd like to see, and I also want to point out, Merring having only 3 targets is pretty huge. So despite the fact that Merring doesn't have a great grade, the fact that he's only been targeted 3 times shows that teams are like, okay, I don't want to go there. He has this guy covered. So he's doing well too at safety. So I'm really impressed with our whole entire secondary, right? I think they're going to hold up really well against the Chargers because Mike Williams, we've seen him struggle with contested catches, even though that's supposed to be his game. What I want the Raiders to focus on, though, with this Chargers receiving group is Jared Cook. He's going to be a red zone threat. And also, I want to pay attention to Guyton because Guyton has proven to be a big, deep threat target for Herbert. Raiders need to pay attention to that. Sherman is going to the Bucs. Well, hopefully he'll have fun losing to the Rams again in the NFC playoffs if Sherman's going to the Bucs. Wow, so Sherman chose the Bucs over the Raiders. All right. Hey, don't ever support these people who turn their back on the Raiders because there's been a lot of players who turn their back on this team. Don't give them your money. Don't give them your clicks. Don't give them your support. They make these decisions to say, hey, I don't need this Vegas fan base. I'm going to go on this bandwagon Brady Buccaneers crap, right? So if that's what Sherman's doing, that's what he's doing. And good luck to him. Looked pretty slow in San Francisco, so I don't know how well he's going to do. I'm honestly glad that we didn't get Sherman now that I've seen Nate Hobbs play really well and Casey Hayward. There's really not room for Sherman on this team. And the same thing with Devontae Adams. I understand people want us to get him, but with how much money he is, there's really not room for him in this receiving core when you have somebody like Bryan Edwards doing so well. So, and you know what? Amik Robertson did decent coming into sub in for Nate Hobbs in the slot. Just not quite the outside corner yet. We haven't seen him get too many snaps. But hey, we've been on for about 1 hour and 3 minutes. Appreciate you guys coming by. This has been WiFiWillie's Pro Football Podcast. Remember to please subscribe to this channel. Ring the bell to get notified when I'm going live. That way you know. I do this at random times, but Friday I'll be going live, and Monday I'll be releasing some content, before the game. So be on the lookout for that, and appreciate you guys for stopping by. I've had a lot of fun here. Thank you.